There is a moment that comes in the life of almost every human being, though many are too distracted to notice it. It may arrive after years of relentless hard work, after the applause has finally grown loud enough to drown out every doubt, after the promotion has been earned, the house has been purchased, the bank account has reached a number that once felt impossible, or after a dream that once kept you awake at night has at last become your reality. It is the moment when you pause, look around at everything you once believed would complete your life, and find yourself asking a question that feels as unexpected as it is uncomfortable. And the question is this really it? It is a question that rarely makes its way into public conversations because we live in a world that loves to celebrate arrivals but seldom talks about what happens after them. We are shown the smiling photographs of success, the shiny trophies, the luxurious cars, the grand homes, the standing ovations, the magazine covers, and the millions of followers, but almost never the quiet evenings when a person who appears to have everything sits alone with a strange feeling that something essential is still missing. Perhaps the greatest tragedy of modern life is not that people fail to achieve their dreams. Perhaps it is that millions of people achieve them only to discover that the destination they sacrificed so much to reach could never give them what they were truly seeking. And yet, despite countless examples spread across history, we continue to believe the same beautiful illusion. We tell ourselves that happiness is waiting just beyond the next achievement, that peace will arrive with the next promotion, that contentment will appear the day we earn a little more, own a little more, or become a little more important in the eyes of the world. Our goals change, our surroundings change, our titles change, but the finish line keeps moving, always staying just far enough away to keep us running. So let me ask you something that may change the way you look at success forever. What if success was never the problem? What if the problem was the way we've been taught to define it? That question has echoed through minds of philosophers, saints, leaders, and seekers for thousands of years. It has been asked in palaces and monasteries, on battlefields and mountain tops, in moments of extraordinary victory and in the silence of personal defeat. And perhaps few people have explored it with as much clarity as Om Swami in his thought-provoking book, The Heart of Success. But this is not a summary of his book, it is an invitation to question the ideas you have inherited, to examine the goals you've been chasing, and to discover whether the life you are building is leading you toward the genuine fulfillment or simply toward a more comfortable version of emptiness. Because by the time this journey ends, you may still want success, but you may never define it in the same way again. If you think about it carefully, almost everything we do is shaped by an invisible definition of success that we never chose for ourselves. Long before we were old enough to ask what kind of life we wanted to live, the world had already begun writing the answers on our behalf. As children, we were taught that good grades would lead to a good college would lead to a good job would lead to a good salary, and a good salary would lead to a good life. It sounded so logical, so orderly, and so convincing that very few of us ever paused to ask the most important question of all: who decided that this was success? Perhaps no one did. Perhaps we simply inherited a definition that had been passed from one generation to the next, repeated so often that it eventually began to sound like an unquestionable truth. We grew up watching people applaud achievement more than character, status more than contentment, and outward appearance more than inner peace. Slowly, almost without realizing it, we learned to judge our own worth using the very same measurement. And we stopped asking, am I becoming a better human being? And started asking, am I doing better than everybody else? And that single shift changed everything, because the moment success becomes a competition, contentment becomes almost impossible. There will always be somebody with a bigger house, a higher salary, a more prestigious title, a larger audience, a more luxurious house, a more luxurious life. And if your happiness depends upon standing above others, you have chosen a staircase that has no final step. And yet, this is the staircase that millions of people climb every single day. They wake up early, work longer hours, sacrifice their health, postpone their joy, neglect their relationships, all because they believe that one day, when they finally reach the top, life will begin. But let me ask you one thing. What if life was never waiting at the top? What if it was quietly passing by while we were too busy climbing? There is a reason this pattern repeats itself across generations, and modern psychology has given it a name, and it is called the Arrival Fallacy. The belief that reaching a particular goal will bring lasting happiness. It feels so real that we rarely question it. We say, I'll be happy when I get the promotion. Then the promotion comes. For a few days, perhaps a few weeks, we feel a wave of excitement, and then life returns to normal. So we create a new goal. I'll be happy when I buy a house, and the house arrives, but the happiness fades. I'll be happy when my business succeeds. I'll be happy when people recognize me. I'll be happy when I have 1 million subscribers. Now, notice the pattern. The sentence never changes, only the object does. We're like travelers chasing the horizon, believing that if we walk just a little farther, we'll finally arrive. But the horizon moves every time we move. The problem is not that goals are bad. Goals give us direction. But the problem begins when we expect them to give us an identity. When we believe that our value as human beings depends upon what we achieve. We hand our inner peace to circumstances we cannot completely control. And that is an extraordinarily dangerous thing to do. This is precisely the question Om Swamiji invites us to consider. What if success is not something that happens to you, but something that happens within you? What if the heart of success has never been about collecting more, but about becoming more? That single idea has the power to transform the way we live. Because the moment success becomes an inner state rather than an outer destination, the entire journey of life begins to look different. And to understand why, we must turn to a story that has been quietly teaching us this truth for thousands of years. Thousands of years before modern psychology gave us terms like the Arrival Fallacy, before books were written about leadership, emotional intelligence, or personal development, an ancient epic had already begun exploring the same question in a far more memorable way. It did not present its answer through a lecture. It presented the answer through two men, Lord Rama and Ravana. At first glance, their story appears to be a simple conflict between good and evil. But the more carefully you look, the more you realize that the Ramayana is not a conversation between two completely different definitions of success. Ravana represents the belief that greatness can be acquired, and Lord Rama represents the understanding that greatness must be cultivated. Ravana possessed almost everything the world admires. He was a scholar of extraordinary intelligence, a master of the Vedas, a devotee of Lord Shiva, a fearless warrior, a brilliant strategist, and the emperor of a kingdom so prosperous that people still speak of the golden city of Lanka with wonder. If success were measured by knowledge, wealth, power, military strength, or political influence, very few people in history could have stood beside him. And yet, for all that he possessed, there was one thing he could not govern, and that was he himself. That is the tragedy of Ravana. He did not fall because he lacked talent. He fell because he lacked mastery over his own desires. Isn't that a strange paradox? A man capable of ruling an empire could not rule his own mind. A man who had conquered countless kingdoms could not conquer a single impulse. And history has repeated that paradox again and again. Some of the brightest business leaders have lost everything to greed. Some of the most gifted athletes have destroyed their careers through arrogance. Some of the most powerful political leaders have watched their legacies collapse because they believed they were above the very principles that had once made them great. Outer success has never been a guarantee of inner strength. Now look at Lord Rama. What is that makes him so remarkable? It is not his kingdom, because he spends 14 years away from it. It is not his wealth, because he gives it up without resistance. It is not his throne, because he walks away from it voluntarily. Remove every symbol of worldly success from the life of Lord Rama, and something extraordinary remains. And that is his character. That is precisely what makes him impossible to defeat. Because character does not depend upon circumstances. It remains the same in a palace and in a forest, in victory and in exile, in comfort and in suffering. Perhaps this is the first great secret of the heart of success. The world teaches us to build a life from the outside in. First collect achievements, then hope they produce happiness. Lord Rama's life teaches us the exact opposite. Build yourself from the inside out. Cultivate wisdom, discipline your mind, live by principles, and allow success to grow as a consequence of who you have become. That is a radical idea, because it means that success is no longer something the world gives you. It becomes something no one can take away. When your peace depends upon praise, criticism can destroy you. When your identity depends upon your position, failure can shatter you. When your happiness depends upon possessions, loss can leave you empty. But when a life is rooted in character, you carry your greatest possessions everywhere you go. Perhaps that is why the wise have always said that the most important battle a person will ever fight is not against an enemy standing before them. It is against the voice within them that constantly whispers, "Just this once, no one will know, you deserve it." Principles can wait. Every great fall in history began with a small compromise that someone believed didn't matter. And every great life was built through thousands of small decisions that no one else ever saw. And that brings us to a question so simple that it has the power to change the course of a human life. And that question is, if success is not measured by what you have, then how should it be measured? The answer may be simpler and far more demanding than we ever imagined. Perhaps the greatest mistake we make is assuming that success is an event, a moment, a destination, a place we arrive one day and never have to question again. But life has a very curious way of challenging every destination we create. The moment we reach one summit, another appears in the distance. The moment we fulfill one ambition, a new desire quietly takes its place. If success is merely a destination, then life becomes an endless series of arrivals that never quite arrive. Perhaps that is why so many people spend their entire lives running, yet so few ever experience the peace they were running towards. Om Swami, my guru, invites us to look at success from a completely different direction. He suggests that success is not something we possess, it is something we express. It is not a trophy that sits upon a shelf. It is the quality of consciousness with which we live every single day. Think about the people you truly admire. Years from now, will you remember them because of the car they drove, the size of their house, the watch they wore? Or will you remember the way they made people feel, the way they kept their word, the way they stood firm when everyone else chose the easier path, the way their presence brought calm into chaos? The things that leave the deepest impressions upon us are rarely things at all. They are qualities, and qualities cannot be purchased. They must be cultivated. That is why the heart of success is not hidden in the world. It is hidden in the person who walks through the world. A person who has learned to remain humble without thinking less of themselves, confident without becoming arrogant, ambitious without becoming greedy, disciplined without losing the compassion. Success, then, is no longer about collecting more. It is about requiring less from the world to remain at peace. There is a profound difference between enjoying success and depending upon it. When you enjoy success, you are free. When you depend upon success to feel whole, you become its servant. And anything that controls your peace controls your life. That is why some people possess very little, yet radiate a contentment that cannot be explained by their circumstances. And others possess almost everything and yet carry a restlessness that no achievement ever seems able to silence. The difference is not what they own, the difference is what owns them. Perhaps this is the question each of us should ask before chasing another goal. Am I pursuing this because it expresses my highest values, or because I believe it will finally make me enough? There is nothing wrong with building a successful business, earning wealth, seeking excellence, leading an organization, creating something extraordinary. The problem begins only when we confuse these things with our identity. Because the moment your identity depends upon what you achieve, you begin living in fear of losing it. And fear has never been a good foundation for a meaningful life. The most successful people are not those who never fail. They are those who cannot be defined by their failures or their successes. They know who they are even when the applause stops, even when the world looks away, even when life asks them to begin again. Perhaps that is the highest form of freedom a human being can ever experience. To wake up each morning knowing that your peace is no longer held hostage by the opinions of strangers, by the size of your bank account, or the title printed beside your name. Because when your self-worth comes from within, the world may change your circumstances, but it can never change who you are. And once you understand that, you are ready for the final question. A question so simple, yet so honest, that it has the power to redefine the rest of your life. There is an old story that has survived for centuries, not because it is complicated, because it reveals something about human nature that we continue to forget. One day, a group of learned men found themselves engaged in a heated argument over a loaf of bread. The question seemed surprisingly important to them. What was the perfect way to slice it? One man insisted that it should be cut lengthwise so that everyone received an equal portion of the crust, that diagonal slices were far more elegant. A third believed that only horizontal slices were truly fair. Each of them defended his opinion with such conviction that the bread itself deserved. After watching them for some time, Mullah Nasruddin quietly walked towards the table. He picked up the loaf, sliced it into ordinary pieces, handed one to each of them, and then asked a question that instantly ended the argument. Before we decide how to cut the bread, shouldn't we first ask why are we cutting it? The room fell silent because they had been so occupied with the method that they had completely forgotten the purpose. Perhaps that is exactly what has happened to us. We have become expert at discussing how to succeed, how to earn more, how to grow faster, how to become more productive, how to build a personal brand, how to gain influence, how to win. But rarely do we pause long enough to ask the question that should have come first. Why? Why do you want success? Is it to feel important or to become useful? Is it to be admired or to live with integrity? Is it to collect applause or to create something that outlives your applause? The answer to that question changes everything, because the moment your purpose becomes clear, your definition of success changes with it. Suddenly, success is no longer about outshining other people. It is about outgrowing the person you were yesterday. It is no longer about proving your worth to the world. It is about discovering a worth that never depended upon the world's approval in the first place. Perhaps that is what Om Swami was quietly inviting us to see all along. The heart of success is not found in the things we accumulate. It is found in the person we become while pursuing them. Because wealth without wisdom can become a burden. Power without character can become destructive. Knowledge without humility can become arrogance. And achievement without inner peace can become another form of poverty. So before you chase your next goal, before you sacrifice another year, before you tell yourself that happiness can wait until you reach the next milestone, pause and ask yourself a different question. Not what do I want to achieve, but who am I becoming? Because one day the applause will fade, the titles will belong to somebody else, the money you earned will be spent, the house you built will have another owner, and even your greatest achievements will slowly become footnotes in somebody else's history. But there is one thing no passage of time can ever erase, and that is the character you built, the lives you touched, the peace you cultivated, the love you gave without expecting anything in return. That is the only success that death cannot take from you. So, as this journey comes to an end, I want to leave you with just one question. A question that only you can answer. When the story of your life is finally told, will people remember everything you owned, or will they remember the person you chose to become? Perhaps that has been the heart of success all along. Thanks for watching.